I am trying a new dessert recipe today. So I am just oiling up a 9 by 13 pan. I'm going to start with a simple boxed cake mix here. I'm going to be making a poke cake. I'm really excited about this recipe because my favorite ice cream growing up, and probably is still today, the ice cream bar, it's like a, I don't know if it's strawberry or vanilla ice cream. I think it's probably vanilla ice cream, but the outside is a strawberry shortcake crumb type of outside. There's a chocolate version and then there's the strawberry. I've not been a big chocolate fan most of my life, but the strawberry one, to die for. And I seen a recipe to make a strawberry poke cake with that topping essentially, and I'm really excited to give it a try. I'm of course just going to use what I have here in the house. I did not go out and buy anything special for it, with the exception of the Oreos. So I have the golden Oreos, store brand, but I also seen the strawberry Oreo filling sandwiches, cookie sandwich, and so I'm actually going to combine the two because I thought that sounded delicious. The recipe calls for a vanilla cake from the box. I don't have vanilla, I've got strawberry. It makes sense. Why not? I'm just going to use that. And you are going to prepare it according to the box instructions, of course. So, depending on whether or not you are doing a white cake mix, yellow cake mix, whatever, you'll have to follow those directions accordingly. So basically, the first step is easy peasy. Now, I heard somewhere a while ago that if you want a cake mix from a box to taste homemade, to add an additional egg. Don't know if that's true or not. The price of eggs these days, you may or may not want to do that. You may or may not care if it tastes like it's from a box. Quite honestly, I've never turned down any sort of a box cake mix. I think they all taste just fine to me. I'm not a huge fan of cake anyhow. I could take it or leave it, but this definitely sounded delicious. So I have eggs according to the recipe I need to follow. 3 eggs, I added 4. 1/3 cup of oil. I use pure olive oil. You could use vegetable oil or canola, whatever you have on hand. 1 cup of water. We're gonna mix this. We're going to get it into the oven. And as soon as it comes out of the oven is where all the magic happens. So I will bring you back when we are prepared to move forward. This is just, you know, everyone has whipped up a box of cake mix, poured it into a pan and cooked it. So once we have something a little bit more exciting, we'll come back. All right, so this next step, we're going to take a box of strawberry Jello mix, and we're going to pour 1 cup of boiling water over top of the Jello mix here. Get that whisked up really good. Let that Jello mix kind of dissolve in there. that sit for just a minute, and then I'm gonna take the bottom of this spatula and I'm just gonna poke a couple holes in here. You could probably use like a chopstick or something. I wanted somewhat bigger holes though. I didn't want really teeny tiny. 1 cup of cold water. Basically like making a Jell-O mix itself. Hot water and cold water. Get that mixed up really good, and we're gonna pour this over the top of our cake mix, and then it's gonna go into the fridge for about 4 hours. It says or until set. I will be checking on it in about 2 hours. I started this a lot earlier in the day. Here I am getting it finally assembled really late. Got to some other projects that I'm working on. That's okay. All right, into the fridge, 2 to 4 hours, and then we will finish the rest of the cake. So the next step for our cake is the cream cheese type of topping, and we're going to whip the cream cheese until it's really, really smooth. And then we're going to make our own whipped cream topping. If you wanted to, of course, you could probably just go and buy Cool Whip or something. But I don't have that, so I will use what I do have, which is heavy cream, confectioner's sugar, and vanilla. So let's get the cream cheese here into our bowl. Maybe. So you do want the cream cheese softened at room temperature. So it's been sitting out today. All right, so now I have that set aside. We're going to put 1.5 cup of heavy whipping cream. I'm going to get that blended up for a little while before I start adding the confectioner's sugar. It's definitely starting to thicken, so I'm going to add the confectioner's sugar now, about 1 cup. That's about all I have left. Splash of vanilla. And we're looking for stiff peaks. Okay. I'm gonna scrape the sides of my bowl pretty good, and then I will take the mixer and I'll go around, you know, a couple times, but this is basically where it needs to be. Let's take the cream cheese that we got real fluffy, and we're going to just fold this all in together to try and make now one blended cohesive frosting, if you will. Okay, basically have a whipped cream cheese frosting type of mixture. We'll set this aside. Probably put it in the fridge until we're ready for it. And enjoy this in a little bit. So I thought about it, and after tasting the different type of cookies I have here, because I used a strawberry cake mix and not the vanilla, I decided to forego the strawberry cookies. I don't want it to be all strawberry. And then the recipe says to crumble your cookies. We're going to mix it with a 1/4 cup of melted butter and then another box of dry Jell-O mix. That's a lot of sugar. I don't like really sweet, like really sweet type of dishes. So I think the whole reason, and it doesn't need it. It's got Jell-O in the cake mix, which already has a ton of sugar, and then we made the frosting essentially to go over the top of it. I just don't think there's more sugar that we need to add to this. So I'm going to crush up some of my freeze-dried strawberries so it lends that red contrast for the crumble on the outside. And then of course it makes sense because it is a strawberry dessert that it'll taste like strawberry then. That's what I'm going to opt to do. You of course can continue adding more of the Jell-O mix if you wish. I have seen at Aldi, and I do believe Sam's Club even, now sells bags of freeze-dried fruit. Strawberry for sure, and then I even think the Dollar Tree has small little bags of freeze-dried strawberries if you wanted to go this route. It certainly is something that everybody at this point can do. I'm just not sure how many I should do. I think I'll just do that. Let's just do that. Crumble that up. Okay, that looks pretty. Get that all mixed together. Pour in my butter. Get that mixed up. All right, I'm going to keep this in the fridge until everything's ready to be assembled. At this point, we have about another hour till we're ready for that. Here you have it. All right, so I think we are about ready to move on here with our cake. It's been about 2 hours and it's not ready to eat just yet. So what I'm gonna do, it does need a little bit more time, I'm sure, but that's okay because we're not ready to eat it. We're getting ready to have dinner. This off. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, all the Jell-O has, I should say the cake has absorbed all of that Jell-O. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this frosting over the top of here. It smells so good. And so the reason I wanted to make this today is because we're having a family dinner here in a week or so, and I wanted to make this recipe. But before I serve a crowd anything, and if I've never made it before, I will make it, test it, and decide if it's worth, you know, feeding at the family dinner or not. So It's March, it's not quite spring yet, but we definitely are starting to see some indications that the weather's moving towards some warmer temperatures, although we're back in the 20s now, and I believe it's supposed to snow on the day that we're having our family dinner. That's okay. Strawberry, anything, will make us think of springtime. I think we're all ready for it. Okay. Oh my gosh, this looks amazing. Absolutely. Okay. All right, so now we need the crumb top mixture that we made using those Oreos and some of the freeze-dried strawberries. So let's sprinkle this over top here, using very clean hands, of course. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Oh, I'm telling you, that ice cream is my absolute favorite. I did see a recipe where you do add vanilla ice cream into like one of the layers of the cake. I thought that would be fun for maybe summertime. I didn't really feel like doing all of that today. Whoops. Okay. There we go. Just push this in. Oh, okay. It's going to literally take restraint to not dive right into this. Oh my gosh. Using the freeze-dried strawberry really lends to the aroma that I'm getting as well. I used about 20 crushed up cookies, and in my opinion, you could probably go 25 to 30. That's okay. I mean, every bite basically will get some of that topping there. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this again, get it back into the fridge, and whenever we're ready at this point to enjoy a slice of this, it will be ready for us then. So I will, of course, let you see what it looks like once we slice into it. I probably can already tell you it's going to taste amazing. Let's see, can you see the layer? The cake with that Cool Whip type of topping through the blue. Looks so good. In keeping up with the Clean the Pantry Out theme, even though the pantry challenge is officially over, I'm still on a mission to empty my pantry. And I don't mean literally empty it, but I definitely am trying to work through it. I shared one of my past videos when it came to a pantry tour maybe. Maybe I was discussing the pantry challenge, I don't recall, but I actually brought up these very cereal boxes. And I had said they were basically half full at that time because I made a Chex mix. Say that 3 times fast. For Christmas. Every year I make a sweet version and a spicy version. This year I actually just made a spicy version. And there's other things in it besides cereal, but of course that's one of the main components. And so I was left with some still to use up. Although we do eat cereal on occasion in the house, we are not a huge cereal family anymore. very limited types of cereal that we do eat. And I'm thinking 1 or 2 of these would probably could be consumed for cereal, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. When I was in kindergarten, we learned how to make puppy chow. Some of you might know it by Muddy Buddy. I've seen it sold in the store under that name. I learned it as puppy chow. I suppose when you're in kindergarten, that makes it all the more fun. Rice Chex, corn Chex, and Crispix, because that's what I have. You could use 1, you could use 2 of the 3, you could use a completely different kind. That's up to you. I'm just using what I have on hand. With clean hands, I'm just gonna toss all of these around. This is a really fun recipe to try making with your little kids. And it really did feel special when you're in kindergarten to make your own bag of puppy chow. Okay, so now that we've got that in a really big bowl, I'm gonna set that aside. To a saucepan, we're going to add, now I might have to double this. We will see. I'm not going to double it right away. We'll see what ends up needing to happen. But I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of butter. No, I think I am going to double everything. So let's just do a 1/2 cup of butter right here into my saucepan. One cup of peanut butter. Okay, 2 cups of chocolate chips. Measure very scientifically, okay? Now, of course, if you are allergic to peanut butter, then just replace it with whatever nut butter you use. If you are dairy free, then replace the butter with whatever fat that you tend to replace your butter with. So coconut oil would really be good here. Pure olive oil, whatever you may use, replace with whatever you need to. All right, I'm gonna get this on the stove. We're gonna get it melted and just stir it completely together so it's all incorporated. All right, the chocolate, peanut butter, and butter mixture has all melted. I'm waiting on just a little piece of this butter to finish melting. My butter came from the freezer, so it was quite cold. So once that gets completely melted, I'm gonna pour it here into my big bowl. Alternatively, you could put your cereal in a bag and then pour the mixture into here and kind of mix it all up that way if you want to save on dish cleanup. But because I have a double batch, and I just personally find it easier to mix it, so it could be a little bit more delicate too. I don't want my cereal pieces to completely break apart. Okay, here we go. Let's get this poured over. And as I do this, I'm looking at the bottle of vanilla here that I was supposed to add. Never fails, but that's okay. It'll be fine without it, I promise. But just so you know, vanilla is part of the recipe. All right, there we go. Get a big spoon before it cools down and give it all a really good toss. Okay, it is all mixed together. Okay, next part is to basically douse it with powdered sugar. Now in kindergarten, what we did was we each got a brown bag and we all had like containers in front of us and we all went up and dumped our portion into a big bowl. Teacher got it all mixed together and then we would come up with our own brown bag. They put couple scoops, if you will, of everything in there, and then we got some powdered sugar. We closed it up and we shook it. And that was our own personal bag of puppy chow. This is by no means low calorie. Definitely a lot of sugar. Definitely a sweet treat in my house. It's not something, I actually don't remember the last time I made this. So what I like to do is store it in bags in my freezer, and then when I'm having a lot of guests over, I will bring out some, put it in a bowl, and we'll snack on it that way as a little treat. If we're kind of wanting a little sweet treat in the house, I'll bring out a little bit and we'll snack on it. So it'll last a little while that way. Okay, and there we have it. Good.
Do I have to bring downstairs?
Mm-hmm. Just make sure you bring the bowl up later, okay? All right, let's get these bags filled. I had a teenager have to come into the kitchen, and so I don't know where I left off, but we're gonna get the bags filled for the freezer, and I sent him on his way with a bowl of it. Certainly couldn't make him wait. I guess you could say in my whole career of baking and cooking and all of that this was the first recipe I ever made. My first experience of getting in the kitchen and creating something. And then after that came the Easy Bake Oven. How many of you had that? I had a lot of fun with my Easy Bake Oven. All right, the the last thing I'm gonna do is actually top off each bag with a little bit more powdered sugar. Any powdered sugar that doesn't stick to the cereal will just fall to the bottom of the bag. Without releasing any of the air, close it up. Just give it a little shake. Okay, here we go. Now I'll release some of that air, and it is going to cool down for just a little bit before I get it into the freezer, because the mixture, of course, was a little warm. You could even lay it out on a cookie sheet if you want to. My cookie sheets are currently in use though, my really large ones anyway. Don't forget to write what it is. It is going into the freezer, because once it's frozen and it's in there with all your other stuff, on first glance you may not know what this is. All right, and that is done.